He'd been living in the enormous shadow of his portly older brother for 2 gloomy decades. While his popular sibling picked up the chicks and became a global icon, the inhibited and likely emotionally repressed Luigi Mario appeared only occasionally, and usually only to accommodate an optional second player. So when Luigi receives word that he's won a contest, he's understandably jazzed. But there's a problem. He didn't enter any contest. And when he finally arrives at the location of his prize, he finds an ominous, rickety mansion filled with ghosts that have kidnapped his famous brother. His luck is awful, but luckily for us, his first solo game is better. Indoors, outdoors, upstairs, and downstairs, Luigi's Mansion is very unusual. Released alongside the GameCube in 2001, it marked the first time Nintendo launched a home console without a Mario game. They went with Luigi instead, which would have been strange enough, but they put him in a game that's not only unlike any of Mario's launch classics, it's also a unique experience within the company's entire catalog. And going into the game, you'd expect its unconventional approach to define Luigi's Mansion, but it doesn't. Instead, what strikes you is how enjoyable and charming it is, however short and simple it may also be. Luigi's Mansion is built around a simple gameplay hook. You don't jump on turtles or throw fireballs, but instead, as you explore the haunted mansion in search of Mario, you clear each room of ghosts with 2 weapons, a flashlight and a spirit-sucking vacuum cleaner. These tools work in tandem, hence the hook. You shine light onto the ghosts to stun them, and then you quickly start reeling them in with the vacuum cleaner. It's kind of like fishing because the ghosts frantically pull away until you've sucked the afterlife out of them. It's obviously inspired by Ghostbusters, arguably the greatest American movie of all time, but it works within this context. Luigi's jumpy, apprehensive personality is a perfect match for the game's premise. And watching him tremble while he explores the mansion and hearing the quake in his voice as he calls for his lost brother is undeniably charming, and the gameplay is simple and engaging. Maybe it shouldn't, but the entire concept immediately makes sense. The game is very simple, but it does have a few curveballs in its repertoire as well. Some ghosts can't be stunned by the flashlight without first exploiting their weak points. You'll encounter ghosts with frozen hearts, for example, that need to be melted before they can be sucked up. Unfortunately, Luigi can spray fire from his vacuum to do the trick. He can also eject ice and water, and elemental riddles based on those abilities often play a role in room-based puzzles as well. Some of the most rewarding and clever puzzles deal with the game's ghoulish bosses, which require a bit of logic to capture. One female spirit sits at a mirror brushing her hair, and with her back turned to Luigi, she can't be captured unless she turns around. A little exploration reveals a broken window beneath some drapes, and if you pull the curtains to the side, a cold draft blows into the room. The ghost shivers, and as she turns around to pull the curtain shut, you can stun her with your flashlight and nail her with your proton pack. Your vacuum cleaner. These puzzles only get slightly more difficult, but they're actually pretty rewarding. Luigi is controlled by a 2-stick setup with a bit of a learning curve. The analog stick moves Luigi while the GameCube's yellow C-stick controls the aim of the vacuum. Manipulating both successfully and translating them into precise controls in 3D space might be a challenge for some at first, but once you get the hang of things, it works really well. Luigi can walk through the mansion's creaky halls while using his tools simultaneously without a hitch, and it feels really good while it lasts. But that's the problem with Luigi's Mansion. It doesn't last. Most players will complete the game within 8 or 9 hours at the most, and the brevity of the experience isn't helped by its formulaic approach. For a system-selling launch title, Luigi's Mansion definitely comes up on the shallow end in terms of length and replayability. Of course, it does do one of its jobs as a launch title exceptionally well, and that's showing off the technical capabilities of the GameCube. Luigi's Mansion is a beautiful game, showcasing advanced particle effects and impressive lighting and shadowing that were truly exceptional 10 years ago. We tend to take this stuff for granted today, but things like the game's cloth physics and dust particles and lighting, this stuff wasn't always a given, and it makes Luigi's Mansion a visual showpiece. Luigi's Mansion was a creative gamble, the type of which you rarely see game companies make. In many respects, it's representative of a philosophy Nintendo has since abandoned, an era in which pushing graphics was a priority for the company and complex control schemes weren't a problem. It's fun, and Luigi's Mansion is an exceptionally charming and unique experience, but as a Nintendo launch title in the legacy of games like Super Mario World and Super Mario 64, Luigi's game is fittingly destined for the shadows of Big Brothers.
Mario! Oh yeah.